Welcome to Meet the Author, where you can join in on insightful conversations with best-selling and award-winning indie published authors. Your hosts today are Rob and Joan, who themselves are indie published authors, book publicists, and paranormal investigators with Tampa Bay Spirits, based in Tampa Bay, Florida. Thanks for dropping by. And now, on with the show.
Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Joan. Welcome to the show. We're glad that you're here. As usual, we'd like you to like, share, comment. We enjoy your comments and love hearing from you. I hope you're all doing well tonight. We have a really exciting show for you, two wonderful authors. Our second guest tonight, I have to read this because it's, a lot. Oh, first, let's say hi to Genevieve. Hi, Genevieve. Good to see you. Love you. Hi, Paul. Oh, you know what? Since Paul has already checked in, I need to say this. If I laugh and we're talking about something serious and it looks to you like I don't care about the serious comment that the other person is saying, it's because Paul has probably just typed in something pretty funny that makes me laugh. Happens a lot.
Hi,
Hello, Sue. Hey, James. How are you?
James, welcome to the cyber world.
Yeah. Welcome to all your cyber friends. It's good to see you. Anyway, as I was saying, I have to read this because it's a lot. Tonight on the second half, we have writer, producer, editor, voice actor, magician. I didn't know that part. Jet pilot, Carrie Allenstone, something definitely to stay tuned for. And for the first half of our show, we have a wonderful mystery writer, but she's a multi-genre writer. So mostly mystery, but lots of other things too, from Southeast Tennessee, CHERYL Peyton.
Hello.
Hi,
Hello,
Cheryl.
Hi. Nice to see you.
It's great to see you too. Jillian says hello. Hi, Jillian.
Jillian.
Good to see you.
George is on deck. Hi, George.
Hi, George.
I will be intensely interested in hearing what your author has to say about Lion's Gate. That's our second author tonight.
We are too, George, and we're going to run a little blurb from Lion's Gate when we bring CARY on. Okay, so, all right. Sorry, one more thing here. Paul says, hi, Cheryl.
Hi, Paul.
Do you know Paul?
I know him from Facebook. We're friends on Facebook.
Absolutely, right? Author of The Hollow Man.
He's very supportive of indie writers.
He is. So is George, who just said hello. He's very supportive also.
Yes.
So, Cheryl.
Yes.
How did you get started? You've got an interesting beginning. Way back when.
Oh, God, don't say that to a woman.
Well, not that
ever.
long.
Yeah,
it wasn't that long ago.
That's a nice way to flatter your person.
What the heck was that?
Yeah, ancient history. It was.
Yeah, way back when. No.
Lord help us.
Okay. Well, I have mentioned in my bios that in various places, something of my background. My mother was a managing editor in a publishing house in the western suburbs of Chicago. So when I was a little girl, she edited not only some commercial magazines and trade books, but also young adult Christian literature. And she was kind of a character anyway. She didn't read fairy tales because she didn't believe in them. She said, your life isn't going to be a fairy tale. So I'm not reading you fairy tales. And then she didn't allow like Dr. Seuss because he made up words. She said, you need to build your vocabulary with real words. You don't need to learn fake words. Okay. So she would bring all these manuscripts. Well, I was like 6. And so she would do her editing, while she was putting me to bed. And she would be reading along these stories, and she would say, do you like that sentence? I'd say, not really. Why not? I say, well, it sounds kind of dull. You know why? No. There are inactive verbs. I never want you to use inactive verbs.
Oh, gee.
I'm 6. I don't know. I don't understand. I'll try. Anyway, so that was sort of my background. I grew up in a home where my mother and I discussed writing techniques and devices and so on. So that it was just part of me. And she always encouraged me to write, but I didn't. I wrote horrible things like poems that I'd put in Christmas cards with rhyming couplets that were, to put it kindly, amateurish. Now's the time of year when we're all filled with good cheer, those things. And sometimes a little better than that, but not much. But she saw something in me. I don't know. But anyway, my life went on. I was in various careers. I was an interior designer, and I was a paralegal, and I was a social worker. So I was sort of bridged all areas of social standing. And anyway, then retired. My husband and I retired from Chicago. We moved to East Tennessee. And in 2010, this is where my story starts for my writing. It was quite a serendipitous thing. When I think about it still, I just can't believe it. I had decided to take the census because we'd been here 2-3 years, but I didn't know, the back roads, the countryside much. We knew the streets for businesses and so on. So I thought, well, I'd learn more about Tennessee and the people and get out and explore a little bit by taking the census. So I took the test and I was hired by the Census Bureau to take the census 2010. Well, what happens is that you go to class. I went to in an industrial park nearby for 5 days, and you take a class on how to present the census to people. And some people don't maybe realize that a census worker visits every address where a form has been sent but not returned. Well, there might be some good reasons they haven't returned them. I think you know what I'm getting at. But I was pretty naive, and so I thought, well, some people move, or people discard things. They don't realize how important it is, or they don't
in
Tennessee to the government. Thank you very much.
There you go.
And here in rural Tennessee, we're talking. They probably have a history with
Moonshiners.
There you
go. And so it occurred to me. And then I've discovered that, there are places to go, where I went that, scared the bejesus out of me. I had my own standard. It was this. If there were a bed of flowers or vases of flowers set out, potted flowers, I would think probably a woman is in the house, and statistically, women don't kill strangers. So that,
that's good news.
Yes. So even, appliances in the front yard, if there were flowers, I would knock on the door. But there were places that were scary. So anyway, I was in a group of 15, 20 people. We were to do Loudoun County, which is the city I live in and the surrounding area. And we were given, or there was assigned a younger man, younger than I, man in his 40s, good looking, tall, well-built, very fit fellow named Bill Harris. And we were told that he would ride along with the women, primarily, I think only, if they were going to certain addresses or they had been to certain homes and they felt insecure about, approaching the door. Maybe there were dogs unleashed, or, there are various signs that made them apprehensive. So that gave me the final clue. Okay. So anyway, so Bill Harris, when he was riding along with me one day, we got into conversation about one another, and we were spending the day right in the car. So, and he's telling me some of his past, I'm telling him some of mine. And he's saying that he had most recently been a nuclear weapons courier at Y-12. You might know Y-12 is in what was the Secret City in World War II, where the first bomb was made. And I had known of Oak Ridge, or as the Secret City. Anyway, so he told me about his function as a courier, which was something that was new to me, that he would, and there were 27 agents that would form a convoy with 3 trucks in the center. And there was a certain lineup of agents in 9 different vehicles that would drive these nuclear weapons and nuclear material to military installations around the country, like to Pantex in Texas and out to Georgia. And I didn't know anything of this. I thought it was fascinating. Anyway, he told me about this, and then he told me that he was, looking around for another job to settle into, and in the meantime, he was teaching gun safety, firearm, as he would call it, safety, and that he had a website. And he said, as he got to know me, I think he realized, he said, I think you would be like my target audience, if you excuse the expression, because you don't know much about guns, but maybe you would feel more secure. Let's say you're living alone and in the country. And he said, if you would look at my website, I would appreciate your comments on how you think I come across. Are you enticed to take my in-home training sessions and this and that? So in the conversation, I told him a little bit. I said, well, I know something about editing. My mother was an editor, and this is something that I know, proofreading symbols and this and that. Anyway, I just wanted to, give him some street cred that, I could probably do a decent job. So I went through his website, which was several screens. And so I came back and I gave him some refinements. And I said, maybe first off, don't use the word firearm. For someone like me, handgun, is more meaningful. And I said, put some pictures of yourself and, tell people you're married with a teenage daughter, that you're an upstanding citizen and a family man and this and that, and some pictures. He's a good looking man. So I thought that would probably sell a lot of women right there. And so he appreciated that. And then we got into another conversation that led from that. After I did that, proofreading of his, he appreciated, thought I did a good job. He said, I have this short story that I wrote about my work. And he said, maybe you could read that and give me some pointers. He said, I think you know something more about writing. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I think I know something more about writing. He had been in the military, been a great marksman. He'd been into Iraq. He had taught marksmanship, in Iraq. He was, as I said, he was a nuclear courier, armed to the teeth. And so, I didn't think he had spent a lot of time writing, So he brought his short story. We met for coffee. And I read the short story. And it was basically an assault on a nuclear weapons convoy. And so as we talked about it, I said, well, you haven't given any backstory to the characters. They don't come off the page. You don't have any physical description. You don't have a description of, and this guy comes around and shoots, and this guy comes around another corner. I said, this guy doesn't, I don't care if this guy dies or this guy, because I don't know them.
Right.
You have to give some background to the story. And so I went through the story and I gave him, wrote, crossed out a lot of things and wrote some things in. So we had coffee. We were about to have coffee. We met with our group. And as we disbanded, he said, well, let's go get a cup of coffee and you can tell me more about the story. He said, I'd like to develop it into a book. So then we're riding in the car a few minutes to a little restaurant here in where I live. And so I'm telling him, Well, and the female lead, maybe you should have a romantic interest among the single couriers. There might be one, that would give her another perspective and more relatable, and be another tangent to your story. And you can do this and you do that. Well, we got out of the car, and I still remember he looked over the car at me and he said, "You should write the book."
And is that how your first book came into being?
As I walked across the parking lot and I opened the door of the restaurant, I heard my mother say, "You should write the book." Because she always thought I could. And there it is, 6 minutes to midnight.
I thought so. I thought it sounded like that plot. And we even talked about the fact that it's no longer 6 minutes, is it? It was then.
120 seconds.
120 seconds.
Then it was 6 minutes with the Doomsday clock. Well, the next morning I sat down and I started on a book that ended up to be over 120,000 words, my first book.
Awesome.
And
so
that's how
it started.
It was his story. And I sat down. I was, very naive. I didn't know much about really published writing.
Right.
And so, I opened my chapter, breaking the first cardinal rule, having the character wake up in the morning and think about her day and reflect on her past and all that. Well, I made that chapter too, eventually. Chapter 1, I started with, and then I decided to have the antagonist an unknown to her, but in shadowing her, and gave that more of a storyline. Is I have a murder in the first chapter, so I started off, what is it, race mena? I don't know how to say it, but in the midst of action, and so I learned pretty quick, but then when I was finished with writing it, and I would send Bill a chapter every time I finished one, and he would come back with critiquing, how you draw your gun and how you hold it, and
that's good.
Yeah,
that's helpful for a mystery writer to do that the correct way.
Right.
Just for a minute, I wanted to address a couple of comments. George says, "LOL, it is much easier to slip a foot in your mouth than it is to pull it out." George always has a good pithy comment, and I think that was in relationship to what
that was directed
Rob said.
Yeah. Nice, George.
And Trish Pipkin said Facebook wasn't letting her on, and I'm not happy about that. And Marjorie's here late, but that's okay. And then Trish said stuff like this, I think she means this stuff. Is not a coincidence. That's a great story. Yeah. That was not a coincidence, especially if you heard your mother saying, right, you write the story.
Right.
Yeah.
So then how did Alex Trotter come to be?
Well, and then, I was, flush with the pride of having written a book.
Of course. Everyone feels that way.
It was a big accomplishment for me. And I contacted Ex Libris for publishing, and they asked me all these questions about the book and so on. And I thought they were going to have, editor sitting around a conference table discussing 6 minutes to midnight is pretty good for a first author. Don't you think? Well, I didn't know a vanity press. And so I thought that they were accepting my book. They were accepting my money.
Yes.
And I'm on the phone with them. I remember one day, and I just want to show you one thing. And they said, well, do you have a cover? I said, well, no, I thought they did the cover. I didn't know anything. I was pitiful. So that afternoon, I did this cover. So this is a Atlanta skyline, a mushroom cloud, and, a clock, obviously, 6 minutes to midnight. So I dashed that off. I was an artist by training.
That's not a bad cover.
It's not bad.
No.
It's not.
But this
I
is
like
the
this
one,
better. But
this is the one we ended up with.
This is.
But I like the other one
explosive.
too.
Yes.
But anyway, so that's how I got into my. Anyway, so a few months later, my sister-in-law told me about going to Cumberland Island with Rhodes Scholar group. Several people. I don't know, maybe 10. And they stayed at this inn on Cumberland Island, and that there's most of the island is like a game preserve, and there are horses that run wild on the beach, like you might have heard in New England. There's an island, I know, and it's thought that perhaps they're the descendants of pirates' horses when pirates were maybe marooned or sank at sea or something. And then she said, but it was rather spoiled. It was spoiled in the evening. One of the members of the party, somebody's husband, would drink to excess and get very loud and obnoxious and try to kiss the other women and so on. And I'm
Great.
I'm thinking, gee, I bet his wife would like to kill him. And then I thought, his wife would want to kill him. And then Agatha Christie just descended on me, like a man. And I thought,
I see where you're going.
Yeah, absolutely.
That didn't hurt.
So this is right. There's Murder Mobile.
That's what you're talking about.
The 6th one in the series, but I started with Murder on Bedford Island, and it's all Cumberland Island, and it's this inn I described perfectly, but I changed the names, to protect the guilty. But I really grabbed onto. I loved reading Agatha Christie and other British mystery writers.
Me too.
The whole idea of an isolated small universe of people that would have both the assailant and the victim, in the same group, and they all appear very upstanding, So my people are murdered on vacation, which I think is a kind of black humor too.
Yes.
Yeah. So Alex Trotter, he's a tour guide, right?
She Alex is a girl.
Of course, she.
I just wanted to say Chanel likes both the covers.
Right.
And Sue Pearson also said she thinks they're both great. And then Trish said the island that you just described does sound like Chincoteague.
Yes.
Which of course was not pirates, but the Spanish that had gone down there, the ship that had gone down.
Right.
The Spanish horses, which chased us around when we were there.
Oh yeah, I've never been there, but
we have. It's beautiful, but
that fascinated me, and I brought the horses into the story.
Good.
Yeah, it's sort of almost characters in the story, actually.
So to show your diversity in writing, you also have this one that you recently wrote.
Yes.
It's called Wigged Out, and it's surviving chemo and other intrusions, which, as you mentioned by watching the cartoon, it's not a downer. It's uplifting.
Right.
And look at how beautiful you look. You're a survivor.
Thank you. I'm a survivor anyway.
I think you are beautiful.
So let's looking at the time.
Yeah.
Let's get the book giveaway started, and then you can continue your train of thought here.
Okay.
And what we're going to do here for this book giveaway, the first 3 people to email CHERYLPEYTON@AOL.com will win a copy of either 6 Minutes to Midnight, Murder in Mobile, or Wigged Out, and that's U.S. only. That's because that's a hardbound paperback copy.
One person will win one book, so there will be one book of each book given away. So 3 people, each one will get a different book.
Yes.
Okay,
it's my pleasure. Yes.
And I did want to go over your
how to reach you.
Yes.
Facebook is Cheryl.Peyton.3, and Cheryl is spelled CHERYL. Peyton is spelled PAYTON.
PEY.
PE, did I say?
PEY.
Sorry, PEYTON. And I'm just saying this for those of you who are listening, who download this later and can't see this. You can reach Cheryl also at Twitter at Cheryl Peyton. And you can reach her on email, which we just said, CherylJPeyton@AOL.com.
Right.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to
we'll leave that up for a couple of minutes. And
Trish Pipkin says, that's a great title, Wigged Out, so clever. I agree, it was very clever. Also, Trish, she writes books about conversations with her little Havanese, Cody, which is really
Conversations with Cody.
and you would like
a
that
funny
too.
one. Yes.
Yeah, well, as you know, we have a dog that is very much like Cody and is very opinionated little dog. Chanel says, I had a great aunt that kept dance cards in her pocket to write notes on. And when she died, she had thousands of little notes of all her little get-togethers she went to over 40 years. It was so wild. That's amazing, Chanel. That would be a good book.
Yeah.
Just saying, if you want to
nice
do that, Chanel. I'm sorry. So go ahead.
Well, Wigged Out covers pretty much from January 1 to January 31, exactly. In terms of my diagnosis and treatment, I had discovered it on my own in December, right before Christmas. But when I called to get a mammogram, I was told that I would need a doctor's referral for a diagnostic mammogram. And of course, she's on vacation and she's probably in the Caribbean. And I said, well, could you just write an email to, no. So I had to sit around and wait all through Christmas. No, I got feeling pretty sure I had breast cancer.
Wow.
And, yeah, because I had it before. So I was pretty sure what the same signs were there. Anyway, so it just went through, and then I had to have MRIs and all kinds of tests before they finally decided. And then I had chemo because mine was so aggressive. I had chemo first before they performed surgery. So I had quite a wait before I had the surgery to remove it. Anyway, so throughout this process and beyond into radiation and so on, even up to New Year's Eve, they had me go back to the hospital because I had a rise, in my blood count, and so they thought, well, maybe you have bone cancer. So that's how I spent New Year's Eve. It wasn't a great year.
No, not exactly.
Doesn't sound good at all.
But but there was humor along the way, and so I wrote it that way. And I put a cartoon in each chapter, so if people pick it up, they can see that I'm trying to, get some humor and some positive support, give them support in this book. So people who might be needing to go through this can see that it's survivable and, how the process works out. And that was the point. And I'm not a cartoonist, but I thought, well, that's okay. Even if they're not great cartoons, they get the idea.
Chanel has a question for you. Have you done a children's book?
I have not done a children's book. I suppose my dog book could be read by children, but it's not specifically directed to children.
To children, yeah. But I bet you could do a good children's book.
I bet you could too.
I should try that. Maybe this is another serendipitous moment.
I think so. I mean,
especially maybe I should.
I'm thinking if Chanel has an autistic child. So I believe that's what she said on one of the other shows. And something towards that would be good since you've already done the surviving cancer. And,
right.
I bet you'd be good at that. Okay. Trish Pipkin says, Dr. Seuss wasn't a cartoonist either. I think he's a great example of drawing what you can. It often works. Yeah, I think that her drawings are great. And she has them at the beginning of every chapter, just so you guys know. Each chapter is one of CHERYL's cartoons. Mm-hmm. So, yes, you'd be great at writing a children's book.
Okay. Well, I will give that some thought.
Yeah.
I responded to Bill. I still think back, what else would have brought me into writing a book other than, the conversations I had with Bill Harris and now maybe with you.
With our audience anyway. Right. Chanel says, yes, her son is autistic. I kind of remembered her saying that during one of the other shows.
Well, you're not going anywhere, but we do have to take a break.
Yes.
So we are going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to have a little surprise trailer on, and then we're going to introduce our next guest.
Yeah, George, get ready with your questions.
Yeah.
He's been waiting for this.
So if you all will just hang tight there. Hang on just a minute. We'll get this cranked up here. See you in a couple minutes.
Oh, yeah. Life just got sweeter now that WLFE DB has merchandise. Show your support by purchasing your t-shirts for WLFE, Paratalk Radio, Inside the Drag Closet, and more. But it doesn't stop there. T-shirts, coffee mugs, tanks, buttons, cloth bags, and more. Go to WLFE-DB.com. On the top bar, click on the merchandise tab and bam, there you go. You got merch. Support the shows. WLFE-DB.com.
At Indie Book Source, you can shop by genre or by author, and you will be buying direct from the author's main purchase link. We offer hundreds of titles in formats that include ebooks, paperback, hardbound, and audiobook. Support an indie author. Visit indiebooksource.com today.
The rest of Captain Parker's flight crew had been rounded up, and they sat in the lobby in deep shock. They provided as much detail as they could in between the trauma and crying. A young flight attendant shook so severely they had to sedate her. There was only one crew member missing.
WLFE Digital Broadcast Network presents Variety Unlimited Television. Watch shows like Meet the Author Podcast, The Bipolar DM, Just Cindy, Card Pulls and Coffee, Unfiltered Talk with Bryce, and more. That's right, our shows are your shows on WLFE Digital Broadcast Network. And now, back to the show.
Happy anniversary, my love.
In 1979, a gruesome set of murders was committed. It was filled with such rage, a vengeful curse was born. Sinners will face their ultimate fate.
You don't know who I am, but I know who you are.
I would make them suffer, just like Mom did.
History is written in blood.
There's no help for you.
Room 9. I can hear you. Look for it on DVD and digital.
Well, okay.
Wow.
Yes, the wow is right. You produced that?
Some people aren't going to sleep tonight. Ooh. If that didn't get your attention, I don't know what I can say.
So maybe you'd like to tell us exactly what that's all about. And wait a minute, just one thing I wanted to say. Hi, Rob and
Hello,
Joan
Robert.
and guests. Hello, Robert from Australia. And you came just in time to see that wonderful trailer, which Cary will explain what he has to do with that.
Yes, 2019, I had a partner. We were in the film business, and we hooked up with a gentleman that needed, hey, Paul, who needed his film finished, edited, and the sound. And we stepped up to do that. And then we got it finished. We cut the film and added the sound, and we finished it in time for the QC check at Lionsgate. They loved it, and there it is.
Here we are.
So that comes out July 20th?
July 20th, yes.
Okay. That's the release on that.
On DVD.
and I got a producer credit. So at the end, be sure and watch that name going up.
There you go. There you go.
It's I like that name. It's very important.
That's what it's all about.
Yes.
Well, as I said, I read all the things that you've done, and George, if you have any questions about him producing that Lionsgate Room 9, you can ask him anytime now.
By the way, there's a sequel coming out. So
Room 10.
Oh, really? Room 10?
Room 9.5, I think.
9.5. Oh, okay.
Yeah, 9.5. Yeah. Yeah, I was just told that they're going to be filming a sequel this summer.
Oh,
and
good.
It's going to be great.
Like we told
Very
you
excited about it. Glad it's coming out.
Yeah, and we
It's
told
surprising.
you. Go ahead.
It's surprising how long it takes. You know, that film was shot in 2018 and 19, and by the time all the background, the work is done, and it's approved, and Lionsgate gets to the promotion side, it takes quite a while.
Yeah. I imagine that it does. You're also an author.
Yes, that's. I started that in 1990. I wrote my first manuscript. Was all excited about it. Sent it off. Got some people to look at it. They kept coming back, going, "That should be a movie." So then I started writing scripts. In 1992, I was fortunate, since of my flying career. I was hired to fly with a very famous movie director through the islands on what he was doing, a location scout for a film he was doing. Met him in St. Kitts, picked he and his crew up. Turned out to be Ridley Scott. Spent a great deal of time with him. He actually, when we weren't flying and when we were sitting around dinners and things, we'd sit together, and he'd actually mentored my writing. So that's 1992. And from that point on, boom, I just kept writing and writing and writing and writing. So went into a true crime. I've got a crime fiction series, the Jake Roberts series. I twisted to science fiction.
Yeah,
I think it was
that's your newest thing, right?
2018. I got a trilogy, the Siege trilogy. And I'm working on something right now that I want to see out in a film, probably maybe next year.
Awesome.
So
George,
it's been a storied life, but no charges have been filed, so I'm okay.
That's good. They're not after you still, so that's
George
good.
did ask the question. Is
statute of
Lionsgate...
limitations ran out? Yeah, sure.
There you go.
Statute of limitations ran out by now, so I'm good.
Is Lionsgate involved only in distribution, George? Would like to know.
Yes. They're just doing the distribution of it. We shoot the film. By the way, I'm not specifically a horror guy.
Yeah.
Genre.
Yeah.
I guess crime fiction in a way is horror, but I got involved in a project with my ex-partner, and we learned a lot about horror real fast. What was fascinating to me is there's the horror genre has like very famous stars in that business, in that specific genre that
for
that
sure
are in this film, and I learned a lot about that. And well, really cool guys.
Trish Pippin says, "Hello, Carrie. You're making me want to learn to fly." Haha. I think it was the part about meeting Ridley Scott. That movie looks super intense and creepy, right up my alley. And also, Trish, I know, is an aficionado of true crime, and actually, Carrie has written true crime books too. Trish, you can find them on Amazon and find his books.
One true crime. It's called Through a Mother's Eyes, and it was. It's about the parental murder. It's a case study of the parental murder of children called filicide.
Okay. And this, let's see here. You have After the Evil.
Yeah.
That was the commercial you saw in the middle, our little break here between guests.
That was book one in that series, right?
In the Jake Roberts series, yes.
Jake Roberts.
My Jake Roberts series grew out of flying. I flew for 45 years professionally. When I wasn't flying and I was on layovers, I wasn't the guy down in the bar that couldn't fly the next day. I was the guy in the room typing.
Awesome.
Typing.
So I did on my little laptop.
Oh, a laptop. Okay.
And I would work on my stories. And After the Evil actually was a story. For some reason, I thought, wouldn't it be fun for a flight crew member that goes to all sorts of different cities across America or international, and on the layover would commit heinous crimes.
Wow.
Which means they leave the next day.
They leave.
And
That's
there's no
good.
trace.
And thanks for giving those guys all those ideas.
Well, it's already been done, though. So I nailed that part. So there's no competition.
There you go.
That's really good. That's a good idea.
The series then advanced through they're all serial killers. But I actually have in the end of the series a gentleman called Richard Graham from a facility, a mental health facility in London. He enters the book, and he is right up there with Hannibal Lecter. So.
Oh, good.
That'll keep you busy.
Yeah. And then we have the Seeds
Then you
trilogy.
shifted to sci-fi.
Yes, always been a very big fan of science. Always followed science. I love Elon Musk is my hero. And I thought, okay, I've got I'm pretty satisfied with the crime fiction. I think I'm going to try something I've always wanted to try. So I wrote a sci-fi book. Then I thought, well, that came out okay. I'm going to write the second part. And then I wrote the third part. And then I added it into the Seeds trilogy. SEED stands for the Strategic Extra Earth Development Site. Perfect. Which is a group of very wealthy of two wealthy men who come together, who plan to create a ship to leave the planet because they think the planet's going to fall apart, which it does. My sci-fi is not a aliens and galactic war sci-fi. The story is about what will we do if we had to leave in the next 20 years with the technology we have today. And it follows through from the development to the dystopian disaster that occurs to them leaving on the ship and where they go and where they colonize and setting up the colony. The colony then, in the third book, has passed 160 years since they left Earth and have had the colony. And now they want to expand from there to other planets. And some of them want to actually go back to Earth. So it's a fun story, fun trilogy.
So Trish already looked up your book. Cary, I looked up your book Through a Mother's Eyes on Amazon and really appreciate that you give resources for help for those experiencing domestic violence.
Thank you, Trish. It was a very difficult book. It took 4 years, research. I had to fight my way through the Department of Justice and the Department of Corrections. I don't know if you all remember Mark O'Mara, the attorney. He represented Zimmerman. He was this lady's attorney at the time. So I worked with Mark, and it took a while. She had quickly, I knew her at a health club I used to go to. And I walked in one day and she was very, very, very distressed. And I said, I think when I get back from my 2-day flight that I had to do, I'll sit down. If she's still that stressed, I'll ask her what's going on, try to solve it. So I went and did my flight, came back, I was still in uniform, pulled my flight bag in, sat down on the couch, turned on the evening news, and there she was, handcuffs, being marched off. She had taken her son's life the night before. So besides the guilt that I had for not stepping up sooner, I thought, if I can get to her, she was incarcerated for 25 to life. I said, if I could get to Julie, maybe she and I could do something about stopping another one. So I contacted Mark, and Mark put her through them. And it just went on with letters and things for years while I was doing the research about the legal system and Department of Corrections. And then I asked to be able to visit her, and they refused. They said, well, we'll give you an hour as a journalist. I said, that an hour is not enough. I need more. So I talked directly to the warden one day, and I said, look, I need to sit down with her, and there's a lot that we have to go through. And he said, I don't want her profiting from this book. I said, she's not going to profit from the book at all. We're doing this to try to save another child. I said, and to keep more women out of your correctional facility. And he said, Mr. Stone, I'm going to give you unlimited time. Give us 24 hours in advance. And from that point on, I sat in a cell with her for 8 hours a day for about a week. We put the book out and that was in 2000. Since then, there have been letters where people have said, I read your book and I changed my mind.
Oh, that's
wow.
That's really,
that
that's wonderful.
So awesome.
Really, you should be so thankful that you wrote that. And Sue Pearson says, thank you for doing the book, and affirms what Trish said. That is so needed.
Sue, if you do read the book, it's the book covers everything that can go wrong in a marriage, drug, pharmaceutical drug abuse, domestic violence. Her husband, I remember when I was talking to the detectives, interviewing the detectives, I said, well, I want to go interview him next. They said, stay away from him. He's not right. He said, it took 6 of us to tackle him in the precinct when we told him. He says, they said, you'll take a bullet in the head.
Wow.
Wow.
She just went through absolute hell. The interesting thing that I want to add is she did take the life of her 6-year-old son, but she was a mom who loved her son more than any mom I think I've ever known, including mine or my kids. She was trying to save him from the husband. So it's not an easy read. Anybody who picks it up. I used to sell the book with a box of Kleenex.
Yeah.
But you're gonna have to get your own Kleenex now.
Yeah. Speaking of selling books, we need to get your book giveaway going, and we'll put that up here right now. Book giveaway: the first 10 people to email CaryAllenStone1@gmail.com will win an ebook copy of either Seeds Trilogy or After the Evil, your choice.
And that is worldwide.
That is worldwide.
And I just want to say that the Seeds Trilogy is the trilogy. So it's all 3 books.
Right. All in one.
She just bought the books. Trish just bought.
You bought through your mother's eyes. The mother's eyes.
Yep.
Awesome.
Through the mother's eyes.
Awesome.
Yep.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's a very needed subject, and it's a needed subject for people.
It's an interesting thing too, because I have over the years, I've done a lot of interviews for it, but it's a subject matter that nobody wants to touch.
Right.
Well,
nobody wants to know. Nobody wants to face it, but it happens. It happens so much, and
it happens.
And you see it happen, and you're shocked every time. When you do see it.
And the book will tell you why it happens.
Yeah.
So.
Well, cool. Let me put your stuff out here. Cary Allen.
Wait a minute. Let me email that guy.
Go ahead. Which guy?
I'm going to email. I get one of those books.
Okay. CaryAllenStone1@gmail.com. And I'm going to spell that for those of you listening. CaryAllenStone1.
Number 1.
That's his email. First 10 people will get either Seeds, your choice, the Seeds Trilogy, or After the Evil. And if you would like to follow his tweets or tweet to him, it's @CAS Author. Facebook is Cary Allen Stone. Pretty easy. And his website is also very easy, CaryAllenStone.com. And of course, both of our authors you can find on Amazon, and Cheryl you can find on Amazon and also on
Barnes and Noble.
Indie Books, Barnes and Noble, and Indie Booksource. Trish Pippigan says, I got away from a narcissist, and I truly appreciate people who want to help.
Yes, it's part of it. That's part of it.
Yeah, I'm afraid there are a lot of them.
It's tragic. There's nothing else. Julie, by the way, now she was 25 to life. She was out early, 23 and a half years served. She wanted to be punished. She did not, she actually tried suicide that night. And did not succeed. She went into court. There was no trial. She said, I did it. Punish me. One other thing about that story is how long it took for her to do it. It was an hour and a half.
Oh, no. Mm-mm.
She tried Benadryl to let him sleep, and that didn't work. And then he started to convulse. She got nervous. She cut. It didn't work because she went this way instead of that. He started to bleed, but he didn't die. She went for the throat. That didn't work. He finally seemed to have bled out. She thought he was gone. She picked him up, didn't want him found with the blood, put him in the bathtub, washed him, dressed him, tucked him into bed, and that's how they found him. He actually drowned. An hour and a half.
Wow.
That's impossible. That's impossible to think about that.
Yeah.
I'm a mom of six.
But it's a subject that I'm surprised that they just don't want to deal with. I've sent that to Oprah and everybody, and they just like, we can't do it.
Yeah. It's horrifying.
It is.
And it's not a horror story like Room 9. It's a true story, true time. James just said his chat was down. He's back. Welcome
missed
back,
you, James.
Hi, James.
Yeah.
It's been a good author career. I've had fun. I've done a lot of stuff with a lot of other things too, and I like to try all sorts of things. So you mentioned a bunch of things in the beginning, and
Magician.
I
wanted to know about that.
Yeah, tell us about Magician.
Real quick, when I was much younger, I took my son. Do you remember the magic rocks? You used to put them in the water and they grow.
Yes, we do.
Oh, yeah.
And I wanted my son at the time. He was 7 or so, and I couldn't find him anywhere. And I was driving around town. We lived in Boca Raton, and there was a magic store. And we went inside, and I said, "You have those magic rocks?" He says, "Yeah, but let me show you this card trick." Well, needless to say, thousands of dollars later,
oh my!
I was hooked and performing it. And then I had a partner then too. We used to build stage illusions for Vegas and things.
Wow!
And then one day, I was flying international, and I was down in Bogota, Colombia, on a layover, and I got a knock on the room door, and one of the guys from our operations people down there, he said, "Hi, Captain. I wanted to introduce you to this gentleman, and we'd like to know if you'd be in our magic magazine." They had like a little magic magazine. And he said, "This is Gustavo Lorgia." And I said, "How are you?" And we did this whole thing. Turns out he was their David Copperfield.
Oh my gosh.
So one day, we got to be friends over time. One day he said, he called me up from Colombia, and he said, "Captain Magic, would you come down to Bogota
Captain Magic
for a magic meeting?" And I said,
"Wow,
okay," because magicians get together and they sit in a little room and they show each other tricks and card things and stuff. That's how you learn. So I said, "Sure, no problem. What's the day?" And he told me. I said, sure, I can come down there. Next thing I know, he shows up in Miami and he says, I'd like to come up to the house and I want to show you the posters. And I'm like, posters? So he drove all the way up to Boca, and he walked in and he kind of rolls this gigantic 4x6 poster, Gran Noche de Magic, Bogota, Colombia. And I'm representing the United States against professional magicians.
Surprise! That's the
it's
magic trick.
I said, whoa. I do comedy magic. This is way over me. But anyway, I went down for this thing. It was black tie, evening dress, ambassadors, government people, 1,500 people, their kids. And I sat in the rehearsal watching these guys were producing parrots, not doves, parrots. And I'm like, my God, I can't, this is way over my head. So he said, come on up and practice. And I said, there is no practice. I just wing it.
Oh, God.
So that night I showed up down there. It was packed, and it was my turn to go up. And I walked to the edge of the stage and I said, you've just seen the most amazing magic. These guys are great. I said, but I want you to remember Captain Magic. So what I'm going to do is I want to volunteer from the audience, a young lady, please. And like everybody came running up, picked one of them. And I stood her on the stage. I said, so you remember me, I'm going to cut her in half, which I did. And did the whole illusion thing. It was awesome. I spent the rest of the night. It was so cool. Signing autographs, taking pictures with families. It was really fun. Really fun like that. I mean, I couldn't have ever come up with something that cool.
You said that you were going to do a magic trick for us, right?
No.
Oh, you didn't say that.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
no, I did. At the end of this, I'll disappear.
Oh, okay. All right. There you go.
So anyway, no, I did the magic, and that was actually the last time I ever performed any magic, because I thought I can't beat this. This is great. But I did comedy. I did stand up. So that kind of stuff for me is easy. I love going up and doing. I did that for 30 years. When I was having a good time. So all that stuff, the stand-up, the films, the voiceover, all of that, it's just stuff I love to do. And it's been a lot of fun, and it's still not over. It's still not over. I got 3 films that I've been working on lately, and I'm writing, and there's so much more for a 68-year-old guy.
There you go.
So who is your all-time favorite magician, Trish wants to know? And plus, James Ricard said, LOL.
Well, I actually met a lot of the famous ones. What's his name? Copperfield taught me a really cool rubber band thing. Just rubber bands with your hands. And it was so cool. And it's something you can do this close to you, and you just can't figure it out. So I learned that from him. Lance Burton in Vegas. We used to hang out with him when we were in Vegas all the time. He was awesome. Gustavo is still performing down there. He's please come back. Please come back. Yeah, a lot of good people.
Cool. So we're at the hour mark. We have a little bit of time left.
We can stay
CARY,
on a little bit longer
CHERYL,
than the
do you
hour,
guys
people.
have any questions for each other at all, or have any comments? Or
I loved your story, CHERYL.
Oh, thank you. I love yours.
Nice. Yeah, it's looking good, and you got it down. You got it down. Oh, and before I do anything else, I should have done this in the very beginning. I want to thank Rob and Joan for all the stuff you two have done for authors all these years.
Oh,
you have been so supportive and so helpful. And for independent authors, it's a struggle. Mm-hmm. So you have always been got our backs. So we appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, well, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Our pleasure. And
Yes.
James says, absolutely. Thank you, James.
Thanks, James.
Cary, I just want to ask you one question. Have you ever told anyone how you do a magic trick, ever explain it? Or is that, it seems to be a code among these magicians that you never tell how a trick works. Is that pretty much true?
Yes. Yes, especially when it comes to like escape thing with handcuffs, you never tell the police. never tell them how you do it. You just do it. How you get out of the cell and everything. They just, you can never reveal that to them.
All right, I gave you an opening there.
Trish says Penn and Teller tell.
You know, they do. Now
they do
magic,
tell.
Okay.
Everybody tells everything. It's not as quiet as it used to be. When I was doing it, it was a secret. Now you can go on YouTube and just about see anything you want. In fact,
that
a lot
guy,
of those
Angel or something that was in Las Vegas. He used to
Peter
be there all the
Angel,
time.
what's his name? David Angel, I think. David.
He was so good. He was an illusionist.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Well, there's guys that perform everyday magic, stage magic, and then there's the guys that
Chris Angel. That's it.
Yeah. that are so creative in their own magic. They create their own magic, and those are the ones to watch because you don't know their secrets.
Yeah, he was. I mean, we watched him, and he did stuff that I'm just like, okay, wait a minute now.
You just can't figure it out.
Yes.
Nope. James said Penn and Teller are a special case. They are a special case. That's a way of saying it.
Yeah. How do you get away with your whole career not speaking? Unless you're, you're Harpo.
That's his. Yeah, Harpo did it, and he did it, and that was both Harpo and him really did it. Even when they were doing interviews with people and everything. I mean, it's just like
broke.
Yeah, they're never broke character.
Stayed in character. Yeah.
That'd be impossible for me because I just can't shut up. I just keep talking.
Now, Trish says, Cary, my husband would love to get into voice acting. Do you have any advice for those starting out in voice acting or voiceovers or even reading Audible books? Because I know that you do your own Audible books. And you do a good job, by the way. Really well done.
Thank you. I've done some movie trailers and things. The first thing you want to do is get yourself a small studio in your house. Find a closet. A closet's great.
Wait a minute. I just have to interrupt for a minute. George thinks he's magic. He made 4 wives disappear. I'm sorry. I didn't want to be laughing during while you were talking about this serious thing, and I was going to laugh because that's funny. Okay. Go ahead. All right. Get a closet.
Cheryl, you might want to talk to that gentleman because that may be a story.
Yeah.
He didn't mention how he made them disappear.
No, I noticed that. That was the first thing I noticed.
The first thing I saw was, how did you do that?
Anyway,
like the one guy came into the flight ops one day and he says, "Oh man, my wife got broadsided at an intersection," and I said, "How fast were you going?"
Ba-dum boom. Yeah. Okay, so first find a closet.
There's 2 things. There's voiceover and there's voice acting. Voice acting would be like doing all sorts of different voices, cartoon voices or dramatic or whatever. And then there's the voiceover, which is commercials and trailers and all of that stuff.
This is about George. It may, because that's his series, may have evolved a Jaguar.
See Cheryl. Get yourself a small studio. You can buy a good microphone, good headset. I use Audio Technica and get a preamp, plug it into your computer, and just go to work. Start reading scripts to yourself. See how you sound. See what other people think of it. If you get good at it, then start putting your name on like ACX. You can go to ACX and become
for Audible. You can do all doing books.
Mm-hmm. There's hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people that are doing all that now. You know, when
I
I
know.
started doing it, nobody was doing it. Now
Right.
everybody's doing it. So it's not a career as much. There's also organizations that you can join to promote. You can also look for local agents in your town, see if they're looking for voiceover for commercials and things.
Yeah, it's sort of like being an author nowadays. Everybody's doing it.
There's one or two books on Amazon, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Good old Amazon.
There you
Good
go.
old Amazon.
So,
Well, that thing about the Jaguar, be involving a Jaguar, is because that's what George writes. Oh, no, he said it didn't involve a
George
Jaguar.
is going to correct the
He
Jaguar
says
statement.
it involves screwing up really bad.
So they must have really screwed up bad, huh, George?
Those wives screwed up really bad. Trish says thank you, Carrie, for answering that. So
thank you, Trish.
Well,
I hope you guys all enjoy Room 9.
It looks pretty scary.
Yeah, it looks pretty intense.
Yeah.
Don't
watch it alone.
You have the best of horror actors in there. They're strangely enough, if you go on,
yeah,
we if you got go that, on IMDb, you'll see the actors in horror are actually their star meters. They got better star meters than movie actors, which I was surprised. But
well, horror is a very popular genre, I think. So
if I have the opportunity to get involved in Room 9, I'll get a chance to meet, because I came in at the tail end. We did the cleanup work, so I wasn't on the set for that one. But it's going to be a great film.
Yeah. And anyway, I just did want to say before everybody leaves, I wanted to say again, and I haven't said it the past couple of shows, if you read a book and you like the book, please leave a review. It helps all of us so much. Yes. If you leave a review, and when you leave the review and you like the book, please say why you like the book. What is it about the book that you like? Because then people who are looking for that will say, oh, that's what I like. I think I'll give this a shot. James says, yes, and that is the truth, isn't it, James?
The reviews make a big difference, I think. And the only problem I have with reviews is not if they're bad. It's if Amazon takes them off.
Which they do.
Yes, which
we talked about.
I thought maybe it was magic. Maybe you did the wrong trick or something. No?
Yeah, it's Amazon.
I don't know how they disappear, but I had 4 books with all of my reviews disappear. So I don't know.
That's terrible.
I know, that's
broke my heart.
Yeah.
But reviews do matter, and it means a lot to the authors too if you do that.
Absolutely.
It does. We really appreciate it. And Trish
even if
says,
you hate it.
Yeah.
Even if you hate it, just say it.
Yeah.
Tell me what you didn't like.
At least you know there's interaction.
Well, as long as it's constructive, not just that's trash. We don't need that. But constructive criticism always helps. What you didn't like.
Exactly.
Too wordy, not wordy enough. That's all opinion.
Right.
Tonight has been a lot of fun. Both Carrie and Cheryl are excellent storytellers and very funny. Yes, both of them are really funny.
They are.
And we needed that this week after
last week. We do. That's for sure.
We needed a lighter show.
And by the way, I did go back and watch that.
Did you?
That was fascinating. Yes.
Yes, it was.
That was fascinating.
Interesting, right?
It was crazy. So Paul says, thanks, Joan, Rob, Cheryl, and Carrie. Another great show. Thank you so much, Paul. Thanks for always being here.
Paul, I love your books.
Me too. He's great.
Yeah.
James says, tonight was another show with 2 really good guests. Yeah, I agree, James. Thank you.
James.
Margaret says, sometimes the review count goes up, but the review can't be seen. Crazy. I know.
Right.
It is so weird, isn't it, Marjorie? And Sue Pearson says, very wonderful. Yeah, it was a really fun show.
Well, I want to say the audience that we have
thank you
that follow this show, you guys are amazing. We appreciate all the comments. The more comments we have, the more connected we are, the more connected our guests are. And we really appreciate all of you.
But
guys,
aren't they a great audience? I mean,
Aren't they good?
really.
Yeah.
They really get it. They know what to ask.
They do get it. We
They do.
have an intelligent, incideful audience, and we appreciate them all.
Yes, we do.
I like the feedback. I like the instant feedback. Sure.
Yeah,
I do
it's
too, and
good.
I love, our guests from all the way in Australia showing up. And George says he enjoyed it very much, and we enjoyed your comments
Thanks,
as
George.
usual.
So
And Trish says we're the best audience. They are the best
there, pat
audience.
yourselves on the back.
Should be an Emmy for audiences.
There you
Yes, yay.
go. So
Or a
I'm going
book
to put
award.
you guys on the spot here one last time.
Okay, great.
Cheryl,
Yes.
you have any wisdom for new authors? Just very short in a less than a paragraph.
Write what you like to read. I think it makes it a lot easier. And read a lot to write.
I have to
There you
say
go.
something about that. The other day, Paul Hollis posted, everybody tells you to write what you like to read, which is true. And that is true. And we're not saying that isn't true. It's very good advice. But he said after you've had to rewrite it 3,287 times, you don't like it anymore. And that's the truth, isn't it? Oh my God, the editing drives you crazy.
Oh, yeah.
So, Carrie, I'm going to pose the same question. Do you have any advice for new authors?
Yes, if you want to be an author, realize that before you start, you must be dedicated. You have to be disciplined and dedicated, because just saying I always wanted to write a book doesn't do it.
That's right.
You have to sit down, concentrate, research, and be dedicated to the craft. And every time you do write, you got to improve your craft. You don't stop. You just make it better every time.
That's right.
Very good.
Even
Very
if you
good.
just write a little bit every day and just keep at it, it helps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, I don't do
fun.
the outlining and all that stuff.
Nope.
I come up with the first line and the last line and the title, and then I go to work.
George says,
And that-
be prepared for rejection no matter how
Yes.
good you are. And that is the truth, George.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Paul said,
Sure.
excellent advice from both of you.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was funny, though.
Well,
Oh,
we've
my
enjoyed
gosh.
it very much.
This was fun.
It was.
Thank you so
Cheryl,
much.
thank you.
You too.
Carrie, thank you.
Hold on.
Hang
We're going to
on.
be right
just,
with you.
Just sit right where you're at. I'm going to kind of scoot you over there. So hold on to your chair for a second. Whoop. There you go. All right. There you go. Do you have anything you want to add or subtract?
I guess I
or-
should tell you. Let's see who follows us at 8:30. Inside the Drag Closet. Don't forget, and check out all the other wonderful shows we have on our radio station.
Right. And next week, we do not have a show. The 21st will be a no-show for us. You can come. You can come and sit and just watch a blank screen if you would
Chat
like.
amongst yourselves,
But
maybe.
chat amongst yourselves. On the 28th is our next show, live show, and that'll be episode 19, believe it or not. 19 episodes already.
Wow.
Seems like we just got started.
Author Del Jones, he writes in the sports area. And Rick Benson, he's a fantasy author.
Oh.
And we're going to get Rick Benson in here.
I've had some of those.
Yeah, me
there you go.
too. But sports and fantasy are kind of. Oh, I should have worn my Lightning shirt. We won the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, there
Tampa
you go.
Bay.
There you go.
All the way.
There you go. Congratulations.
Thank you. I did it myself.
You did.
It was my watching every game that made it come true.
There you go.
They couldn't have done it without you.
Couldn't have.
There you go. Okay, well, until next time.
That's all, folks.
Thank you for joining us here on Meet the Author. Make sure you stay up to date with our show by clicking like, follow, and share. And you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, and more. See you next time on WLFE-DB.com.
You've been listening to WLFE-DB.com, where our shows are your shows.